Welcome back to the podcast. I'm with Zach Foust, the most followed realtor on all of TikTok.
Is that confirmed?
I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. You can fact check me on that. I think you are. 1.6 million? Come on.
It's pretty high.
Yeah.
It's pretty high. The numbers stayed pretty similar, though, for a long period of time.
You've plateaued.
A little bit. I think it has a lot to do with where focus has been on content.
Yeah.
And also, there's just a lot more people making videos on TikTok than hell. It's been like 3 years.
Number one followed or visited website over Google in 2021. I don't know if you realize that. TikTok.
Yes. Oh, 1,000%. Yeah. And most video content watched more so than YouTube. More videos watched on TikTok as a whole, and the videos are shorter than 2 years worth of YouTube on some reports.
Well, you're not just a TikToker. We'll get into some of the marketing a little bit later. I want to go into your background story. You have one of the most interesting background stories in real estate, military, correctional officer. Kind of bring everybody who's not familiar with you up to speed on that.
1,000%.
And we'll dive in some real estate and some marketing stuff.
So it really just kind of goes with the brand that I still kind of am making shit up as I go. When I was 16, I kind of had that moment in life where you're like, oh shit, I'm going to be an adult soon. And I looked up and I really made nothing for myself up until this point.
You were 16.
Yeah, but I didn't have any friends, didn't have any real connections anywhere. So both my parents were active duty military, retired, Army and Air Force. And so I was like, well, I'll do the Army thing. And so I joined.
So you signed at 16?
17, actually.
They signed them young.
Yeah.
They come into the high school, right? They're recruiting.
The fact that they let recruiters start talking to kids at like 15 and 14 years old.
It's a little weird.
It's a little much.
Yeah.
With the commitment that's like, it's not like, hey, come work at Target. It's great. Like, that's different.
Yeah.
Like, come work at Chick-fil-A. We'll give you morals.
Come take my real estate agent scholarship.
That's
realestateagentscholarship.com, by the way.
All you need is a GED. Yep. Past 18. Easy enough. But,
right.
Joined the military on a whim. Didn't really know what I was doing. Just like, okay, they've done it. They're alive. So I have that. So went in, did 6 years, deployed, did the whole overseas thing, came back and switched over to the reserve and realized I had, was in the same exact place. I hadn't built any type of career-long anything, no skills that were going to get me paid, that I could, have a salary at a job that I actually enjoyed doing and was trained at doing. So I just started going job to job. I installed surround sound systems. I worked installing police lights and police sirens on police cars. And it sounds really cool. It wasn't. Mainly because I don't like cars. Not a big car guy. So
no, me neither.
Wasn't my thing. And then I had another realtor bully me into becoming a realtor as I was just finishing up a year as a correctional officer. And
just a year in corrections.
I
you
was
have like
going
wild correction stories on TikTok.
Oh, because it's so dense with just every single day was just something. Whether there were days where I found a Frisbee in someone's cell. A Frisbee. It was a level 5 prison.
You're not allowed to have a Frisbee?
How the fuck did you find a Frisbee? and
brought it in with the food.
But here's my thing. You're going to sneak something in the prison, right?
It's not going to be a Frisbee.
It's not
how far can you throw it?
Why does that matter?
Yeah.
Why would? But that was. It could be a Frisbee. There was one time a lady covered herself in her own feces and refused to come out of her cell.
Enjoyable.
Yeah, completely naked, just head to toe. So I mean, it prepared me for real estate.
Co-ed prison?
No, I worked a female prison for about half the time. Yeah.
Wow.
So it prepared me for real estate because everyone in real estate's crazy.
Yeah.
So, and every day is different and I never know what to expect. And sometimes it feels like there's a woman who's covered herself in her own feces and refuses to come out of her cell.
Every once in a while.
Every once in a while you have a day that just feels like that.
What the broke agent put the other day on Instagram, what's the worst part about being an agent?
I don't follow him.
You're not following the broke agent at all.
I wouldn't suggest it either. I'm joking. No, 100%. But that's kind of the story at a realtor who very lovingly said, look, like, you need to be a realtor. You don't have the personality of a prison guard. You need to. You
don't seem to have that personality.
And that was the biggest thing that was actually my knock, is I loved just talking with the inmates. Like, I thought it was really interesting.
This agent convinced you to come over,
Yep.
basically recruited you into the business.
Yep. 100%.
Which you're recruiting a ton of people now and helping people find their path in real estate.
Yes.
What was it? Did you have sales at all as a kid? Like, were you an entrepreneur in anything? Because all these jobs that you had done before were not very entrepreneurial. So what made you jump into a very sales entrepreneurial job?
Impatience. I think was one of the main things. I'd gone about 7-8 years of my adult life and hadn't really done anything with it. And I saw an opportunity. The big thing I wanted my license for, though, is I wanted to learn more and I wanted to ultimately wholesale. That was actually what I really wanted to do when I got the license. And I said
That's
no.
interesting.
And I said no to her twice. She said it two different times. One was at like randomly Target. One was at the actual church we gone to. And I said no both times. And then she actually signed me up.
Did you end up doing any wholesaling?
A little bit.
Yeah.
2 deals. That was it. And I know you still can.
Are you doing any flips or just?
I'm actually closing on my first flip with with a friend of mine here in February.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the first big investment property.
So you're going to start the flip in February, start renovating
Yes.
it?
Yep.
You just got it under contract. Cool.
Yep. And so really been a realtor now for 5 years. Actually to the day tomorrow will be my 5-year anniversary of being a real estate agent. And like a lot of people, it just came off of just like, okay, cool. I'm gonna get a license. Let's see what happens.
Well, 5 years ago, you've come a long way in 5 years. You've got your own brokerage,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, so tell us about that. Why are you going, or why do you have the brokerage, and how's the team work? You have a team. So what's the whole setup there?
The brokerage was a move because we were doing a lot of things and a lot of other people weren't down with. I think it's very interesting. You say a lot's happened over 5 years. Let's look at the real estate industry, especially the marketing side of the real estate industry in the last 5 years. Like doing this wasn't something realtors did.
Do you realize 80,000 new agents in 2021?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, 80,000.
And all being taught
brand new.
A new norm that we weren't taught,
Yeah.
which is get in front of the camera, get on video. And that's another reason, going back to the TikTok thing, there's just so many more creators. And going into the new year, I think it's going to be a growing trend of the flight to quality. Like if you look at the broke agent, Dan O'Neill, people like that who are in the room, they're putting out quality content. It's not just, like me where I'll just throw the phone up and talk. That's cool and all, but taking time and effort and planning and having a distinct reason as to why you're making the content is something that I think is going to be
Well, you're putting the phone up. I mean,
growing.
everybody's got a little bit of a different style to how they're putting out content. Your style on TikTok's very different than Glenda's or somebody else who's really, popped off on TikTok. So what did you lean into initially on TikTok that worked for you?
Story time. That was it. It was literally telling people about stories from the military. It was stories from my past. It was I played basketball. It was I suck at golf. It was, hey, I'm a realtor just getting started. It was, and I say getting started, it was 2.5, 3 years in at that point. But, it was just telling people a little bit more about me, almost backhanded that glass. That would have been terrible. Would have been a great blooper though.
Yeah.
But it was just really doing that. I wasn't really good at anything else. I tried other things and just never popped off. I wasn't good at it. And that's kind of what I stuck with.
So like when I look at some of my content, I'm like, man, I really enjoy talking about like the news of the industry, for example, right? You talk about so many different things with your story time, all these different stories that you just laid out. Do you find that like you're following it, you have different segments of your following? Like some people are there for the CO stories, some people are there for the real estate, or have they crossed over? What's your followers look like because you do so much different content?
Well, right now I'm definitely just due to time and passion, honestly, because I got on TikTok because I wanted to do that. Like I wanted to enjoy it. Like I really actually thought this was going to be cool and fun. It's not as much anymore for me right now. I'm really diving deep into reels and really diving deep into like learning more about Web3 and what's on the other side. What's the new TikTok going to be in 2 years, and how can I get on that early when everyone else says it's stupid and for little kids and blah, blah, blah. And, obviously it was not the TikTok was definitely not the
TikTok's aged up quickly.
Aged up. That's a very good way of putting it. And it's less in the actual age of the user, more in just how it's looked at. But
well, you're going into reels heavy. Why not put your TikToks on reels? Are you a believer in that? Some people are duplicating. Where do you stand on that?
It depends on the content, because you're going back to your original question on how do the audience kind of segment themselves. They do. And you'll have people that take a liking to certain pieces of content. And we do this with everybody. We do this with everyone, our own favorite people, even our own favorite, we could have a favorite sport, but we have a favorite team to follow within that sport. Like we have our niche things that we want to follow specifically. So ultimately, But I would have different subgroupings where I would see certain people consistently across a year that would always be there for the long story times. But they'd also be there for when I threw salami off of something and we tried to see who could throw the piece of processed meat farther. They would also be there. So like, yes, there'd be cross-pollination. I streamed on Twitch for a while. I'm terrible at video games.
Bobby said he wishes you would go back to Twitch. Bobby was on some of your some of your Twitch streams.
It goes the same thing into TikTok because that was a passion project. And as more things are going, as the team is growing, expanding, as there's more opportunities to meet and grow with amazing people like yourself and everyone that's here today, it takes away the time from not
But you can't be streaming on Twitch all day, right?
It just
you have so many things going on.
And another thing it came into was streaming and TikToks and all that was like, okay, I'm getting my work in, and now all this was getting pushed into shouldn't be work time, and it was affecting family.
Mm-hmm.
And I really had to make a choice of, okay, do I want to keep having these secondary layers that are helpful and they're fun, and I love connecting with those communities, but ultimately, maybe it's not going to put food on the table for my kid. It's not maybe the best time spent when I could have quality time with my wife. Twitch might be here for 10 years. My wife will hopefully be here a lot longer than that.
Oh, yeah.
So,
till the end.
Yeah. And again, I'm not very good at video games. I felt I was entertaining. I had that aspect. But ultimately,
You're right that like I would never watch a Twitch, a stream on, I wouldn't, right? And so, but I would watch your content on Instagram or TikTok, and I do the same thing to your point with people that we all follow, like Gary Vee. Like when he's going into that heavy empathy stuff, not that I'm not a believer in empathy, so don't hate me in the comments or something like that. But I kind of tune that stuff out. But when he does like the 4Ds, you ever see his YouTube
when he's
4Ds?
more tactical.
When he's more tactical, he's got 10 people in the room. They're all business
Digital
owners.
Deep dive or something like that.
Yeah, they're all asking him questions. They all paid to get into the room. It's basically his mastermind.
Yeah.
I really,
Those
every
are
time I
fire.
see one of those, I listen to the entire thing.
I love this monthly V's. I love the monthly vlogs of looking at like a day in the life.
Yep.
Like how does your life operate? How do you balance things?
But you may not watch some of the other content. So that's another reason why having 5 or so buckets of different styles of content is helpful, because you reach a wider audience.
And putting it in different places.
Yeah.
Like the Joe Rogan podcast. I will never listen to a 4.5 hour podcast ever in my life. It's just not going to happen.
Depends who the guest is. Sometimes I can find myself doing that.
I listen to Dave
different
Chappelle's.
segments.
I listened to Dave Chappelle's section of his, and it was like 2 hours, and that was it. And I was on the way home from an airport. So... Yeah. But there are people who take like tiny highlights from episodes, and it's like 15 minutes. I'm like, oh, this is a guy I'm interested in hearing from. Joe, honestly, that's fine. He's cool. He just gets very interesting people and is very good at engaging with them.
And the problem now with Rogan is Spotify. All his content's on Spotify, so there's only 2 clips going on YouTube. So like it might be the best 2 clips, which forces you over to Spotify because he's got the exclusive agreement with Spotify. But anyways, you mentioned Web 3.0. Maybe, which I'm going to be totally out of my league. I'll be honest here.
Okay.
But
we all. So let's be very clear. We're all from whatever you say, I say, Gary Vee says, Mr. Web.
Oh, I don't say anything because I don't know anything
like it's
about it. But
yeah,
I do know somebody in our industry, Ryan Serhant, had a big prediction on blockchain.
Sure.
He said that, and this is an Inman quote. I don't know if Inman's taking him out of context. Inman quoted Ryan Serhant as saying 50% of all transactions in real estate will be done with crypto on the blockchain very soon. That's how Inman quoted him.
The very soon is where
the context was lost in Inman. So
sure.
Take that for what it's worth.
Mm-hmm.
Will Ryan Serhant's prediction that 50% of real estate transactions will be done in crypto and on the blockchain come true?
Yes. And it's just how you define very soon. And this is where, before we started this, like, I don't rock super heavy right now, and I'm learning more and more about NFTs. But one thing I've done a ton of research on, and one thing I've been extremely interested in learning, is everything around blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens when this technology starts entering into different parts of our world. Right now, we are seeing blockchain in 2 main places. We're seeing it in currency, which is the main thing that has to be set in part, and the foundational pieces that have to be there in order for any of this other stuff to get built, like these metaverses and everything else we're seeing. But ultimately, blockchain, which is what crypto's housed on, is a technology that is decentralized and informationless. So, for example, in 8 to 10 years, it's going to be much more difficult, and maybe even 5 to 6 years, much more difficult to get your email and your phone number, because there will be several more companies and several more options.
I
like
believe
the
that.
pay, and this is just as simple as like Web 2.0 as PayPal.
Yeah,
it's basically everything PayPal.
Yeah.
Where we're now in an industry where it's username, password, or sign in with your stuff. This is going to be, what's your wallet ID? Cool, money's going over. No company has to get involved, like Visa, MasterCard. I don't know how you're sleeping at night, because you're basically taking credit card processing out of the equation, at least on the financing side, but on the housing side.
And there's a lot of people that believe with what you just said about Visa, MasterCard. So you're not saying anything crazy there.
But on the housing side, let's talk about all the information, liability, money that gets passed from party to party to party to party, just in one transaction that usually has 2 homes involved in it.
Okay. In the next 10 years, though, is the majority of homes recorded on a deed in a town hall or wherever the heck they're recorded, or where when you're in your state, Maryland, Delaware?
Delaware.
Yeah. In Delaware, how are the closings recorded?
In terms, so I can see what like type of financing.
Yeah, but it's recorded like where? In the town hall? Where's the deed living?
Our levy court holds everything.
Levy court.
Yeah. So
which is that state level, like town level?
County level.
County level.
County level.
County clerk is recording the closings in Delaware.
Okay.
So in Connecticut, the towns are recording it, right? So each town, not the county, but the towns, they're recording the deed, and it's, in the town hall, right? Counties in Delaware, little towns in Connecticut, right? Counties in Florida, all the small states across the country, they're not recording on the blockchain within the next 10 years. Sure. I will say far less than 50% would be my prediction.
50% of units, absolutely.
Yeah.
50% of volume, absolutely not. Because I think the first people that
you think it's going to be luxury.
I think the people who move into it quickest are the people with the large purchases happening.
Yeah.
I think that's where, because it
But the town or wherever, the city, so you're saying cities will adopt this?
I'm saying title companies will have to learn to adopt it, and will have to start actually seeing this as a normal thing, because the blockchain technology won't just be on the financial side of things. I know that's what Ryan Serhant said. Ultimately, right now, there's a company named XRP, Ripple, that is creating a crypto that basically allows for you to transfer this currency into this currency feeless. So basically it's cutting it, or next to no fee, where there's a 1% to 2% transfer fee of funds. Like if I want to go from the euro to the dollar, I don't know what the actual percent fee is. XRP and Ripple's aiming to take that away. So they're decentralizing this transaction.
But they're the ones with the big SEC investigation.
Correct. Yeah. And it's 100% as to whether or not it's a security, and that's what it's going up against. And they're going to lose. It's being elongated.
They're going to lose.
It's 100, because banks are going to lose a lot of money. They're going to, the money is going to be taken out of that common circulation. And that's what, not to get political or government, but that's ultimately what the government doesn't want to happen. But as far as real estate, I think in volume, absolutely more than 50% or the majority in 10 years. Because think about 10 years ago right now. Like if I said 10 years ago, you were going to have a piece of glass in your pocket that you have a camera on, and you can shoot that video of yourselves right there, and it could get millions of views, and you could get referrals from it.
Well, that's a consumer product. Sure. Where
this will be too.
Well, but what we're talking about is changing the way
everything's done.
Everything is done. Fair. And so in 2030, I think things could get interesting, because that's when 2030 is when, like, Ivy Zellman, who's top housing economist in real estate, she's like 2030 is when we're going to start to see more inventory come on across the country, because finally 2030 is when not finally, I'm not like rooting for anybody to die, but like that's when you're going to see baby boomers really start to move out of their homes, because maybe they're moving into care, or that's when it really starts. Everyone's like, oh, the boomers are all dying off. The boomers are all playing golf right now. They're going out to eat. They're playing they're buying homes. The boomers are not dying off right now, but in 2030 it kind of starts. And so that's when it starts getting interesting, is when they're not holding all of the real estate.
Yes.
People think the transfer is happening right now. I don't think it's happening till I'm with Ivy Zellman. I don't think it's happening until 2030.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it might start getting interesting. But for the next 10 years, I don't see, outside of some, and there's some, Miami's doing crypto transactions around real estate. Definitely see that happening.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't see it happening at scale. 50% very soon. And if he meant very soon, meaning the next 30 years, then sure, I think it's inevitable that it should happen, because it's a much more cleaner way. From what I understand on the blockchain, it's much more cleaner than how they do it now. To your point, with a title company or an attorney state or whatever.
It's cutting out all the middlemen, and all the middlemen that mean you probably don't even know that are in the middle of a credit card transaction or a real estate transaction.
Well, a title company is like the biggest, not scam, but it's like such an easy moneymaker.
Mm-hmm.
Attorney sets it up and it's just like clockwork, right? Between them and the lender, they're just like pocketing cash. A lot of times lenders are in on these title companies.
Yeah. And who am I to say? It could be 2040 and we could still be operating on the dollar. I just think there's a lot of movement and momentum in the direction of what he's saying, Ryan's saying, is plausible. And I would back it. I would say at volume that's extremely, extremely likely in 10 years. Because in 10 years, like, it was just crazy that we had a flashlight on our phone. Like, the rate at which technology is moving, like, we talk about just changing the way that everyone does things. Think about just the last 2 years. I mean, the way we do things on such a large scale had to shift, had to change. It was painful. It was rough. But ultimately, things like working virtually in Zoom meetings became just a part of what we did. And now it's just a part of our culture. Yeah. It's just a part of it. And so I think it won't take as long as people think to adjust, understand, and welcome in that world when they understand the benefits of it.
I could see the Zoom stuff happening quicker, meaning the next evolution of Zoom is being able to like feel like you're sitting in the room with the person. I guess that would be metaverse type of stuff.
Yeah, now we're getting into mixed reality and AR.
Yeah.
And VR is cool, like the Oculus is fun. AR is going to wreck the world. AR is going to be nuts. And I don't think people talk about it. And everyone's talking about, the metaverse. Like, that's cute. I'm not big on virtual real estate at all. I think
it's way too early, in my opinion.
It's very, and I speak.
And again, I'm super uneducated, but it just seems way too early.
It's very, how could I say, like .com bubble.
And well, like we've already seen it this year, in the first month or two of 2021, where when you buy something in the metaverse, you're buying it on Ethereum, most likely. Am I right?
The base of Ether, yeah,
right.
Usually.
And we've seen Ether go from over 4,000 to 2,000 and just bounce all over the place. So
volatility is crazy.
If you buy anything with Ether, you buy an NFT with Ether and you collect, because that's how NFTs are sold. You collect one Ether at 4,000. Then the next day it goes to 2,000.
Yeah.
Right. And you were planning on that NFT being worth 20 million. Like the Nelk boys just sold this meta card, I think it was called. They called Nelk Full Send Meta Card is what they called it.
Okay.
It was like a week after like hanging out with Gary Vee. All of a sudden now they're in the NFT game.
Sure.
Right? And so they sold it at, it was over 3,000 ETH. The next, like 2 days after they sold it, it was down to 2,000 ETH. Right. So they've got to wait for it to come back. So they're talking about opening up lounges. They're talking about like spending tons of money. They made $23 million on it. But now the $23 million is worth, I don't know, 66% of that, because it went from 3,000 something to 2,000. And, you've got less money. So you're either waiting to build these lounges if you're going to spend the whole 23 million and all the other stuff they were going to do, or you're putting in more cash. It's, anything with buying ETH or paying for with Ether is super risky because you could lose half the value in a day.
Sure. What I would say with that risk, though, is the volatility works both ways.
Yeah, and we've seen that too.
And speaking directly to the crash that we're right now, end of January, it just dropped down again. It's at like 2,300. When in doubt with crypto, whenever there is a doubt with crypto, zoom out the graph, because this time last year it was worth 1,300.
Oh, by the time anything could happen by the time this podcast comes out.
Sure.
Because it never stops. It's 24 hours of trading.
I'm telling you right now, and you could put it on the camera, by like April, it'll be back above 4,000. Easily. And when XRP, I mean, here's the other thing about crypto that's so amazing, man. And you of all people and people in this industry should love this, is I'm not having to bet or gamble on a CEO, on a committee, on some staff meeting. Like, I don't have to worry about that shit. I'm instead trading on the psychology of buyers and sellers. And because of its volatility, there's enough room to where you can actually make moves off of it. Like, for example, XRP, Ripple, the moment that case gets dropped, whew, it'll skyrocket.
Well, I do own some Bitcoin, some. Is Ether and Ethereum the same thing?
Yes.
So I can be clear?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I own some of that, and I own one other one, Cardano.
Okay.
Right? So those are three
Great.
I own. I only buy on a weekly buy, so it's cost averaging for me.
Sure.
ETH and BTC.
Cool.
So those cost average every Sunday night. I buy a little bit of both of those. But I'm still not, even when it drops, I'm not ready to like push a whole bunch into it. I have nervousness around crypto. You're saying I shouldn't, because you're saying if it's going to double the next 2 months, I should just push. Boom. That's a quick double up. I can't convince myself of that in the stock market right now.
Yeah. No. And the way I look at it right now is we're labeling this, Web 1, Web 2, Web 3. Well, there's some obvious things that were within all three of those phases that all of us wish, oh man, I wish I was on that earlier. I wish I was on that sooner. I think for Web 2.0, I think that was social media. Yeah. I think social media and content creators were the meta of Web 2.0 and what was made available by it. The big thing about Web 3 is that it makes crypto available to everybody. It makes it understandable to everybody, and it makes it simple for everybody. Once it is organized, once it is, a real, like, a part of our economy, a part of our lifestyle, a part of just how we do things, and it will become that. Web 3.0 gives it the legs to have the power that it can have, to really allow us to take back control of the internet, to allow us to really take back control of what was our space in the Web 1.0. 2.0 is when businesses started getting in and really started taking hold and started, really getting involved in every single transaction. They're in the middle of every tiny little thing. Facebook knows every little tiny thing about us. Google the same exact way. Web 3.0 is going to start to try to unravel those things, bring us a little bit more power, and ultimately it's giving the legs for crypto to be able to run. Because right now it just doesn't have that track to run on.
So what's that look like for real estate agents, where if you can't, access everybody's email, which I agree, Apple's already proven that's going to happen. Like, what's the move for real estate agents in marketing in that Web 3.0 world?
Your guess is as good as mine. We're talking 8-10 years. My advice is don't think about it. My advice is phone calls and door knocking and drip campaigns.
Just going 1985 stuff.
All that shit still works.
Yes.
So that tells me, if it's been working since the 80s, that tells me video is probably going to be working for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And guess what? Video, it's going to work directly and easily with things like AR when that does come along. It's going to feed off those same video files. If you have no clue what I'm talking about, doesn't matter. But that's the whole thing. That's what I would advise. Don't think about it. Don't study it.
If you're an agent, what's your smartest investment right now? Buying what you know, real estate, investing in crypto, buying an NFT and hoping it goes up. What's your smartest investment as an agent?
As an agent, you need to be self-aware of your current financial status, and you need to research one of those things and know everything about one of those things. Like, everyone's trying to do everything. Everyone wants to have crypto. Oh, now I want an NFT. Well, now I also want to have rental properties. They have 18 doors. This guy just brought a laundromat. He launders money. Like, whatever. Like, everyone wants to be like everyone else. Like, just pick something and learn the shit out of it. Like Giselle, she's taken the time to really go heavy on the NFT side of things. I've recently been in connection with her. Like, okay, like, teach me more about this. And I've had people come to me because I've been investing in crypto for the last 2 years. Like, hey, talk to me about crypto. The thing about it is just do what you know best. And right now, as a realtor, what you know best, what you could invest your money into, is probably going to be real estate. I fully suggest that you do research and learn about cryptocurrencies and learn about where the world's going, because then I believe you'll have confidence in putting money into things like that, because there's a lot of people getting a lot of money really fast right now, which can be dangerous because somebody's losing the bag every time someone gains one. So
I'd argue that if you're in the top 10% of real estate, which if you're doing this full time and you're not in the top 10%, you should be thinking about either getting there very quickly or getting out, because the top 10% does 51% of the business.
Yeah.
So it's not that interesting if you're not in the top 10% of whatever market you're in. But if you're a top 10% agent, I'd argue that you should be investing in your business first.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Well, you gave me three options.
No,
you
I'm
said
just saying.
NFTs.
I agree. I didn't give you
easy.
that as an option.
Yeah.
But, and
much better choice.
I think you'd agree, right? Invest in your business, get that to scale where you can then start investing in other things. Obviously, real estate's an easy thing to start investing in if you really know your stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's a deal. I'm going to scoop that up. That's going to be a rental property. And then from there, start investing in whether it's other businesses. I love businesses because they're there's so much cash flow in a business. There's no cash flow in me buying Ethereum at all. It's such a speculative, like long-term investment for me that I do feel like I'm going to have FOMO if I don't get in, and everybody's making tons of money. So I have to put some money in there. I just can't go all in on that, as knowing what I know, the education that I have.
And that's the exact thing. I would just say, put the nose to the ground and just learn about it. And the more you learn about it, the more you might hate it, but then at the very least, you don't have FOMO.
Yeah.
You can just say, I was wrong.
That's right.
And
I do think, to your point, it's really smart for an agent to pay attention, right? Because while I think we're 10 years away from any of that really happening at scale on real estate transactions, pay attention. As we get closer, you'll know a little bit more. As we're sitting here, though, in 22, and we're just trying to grind out deals.
Yeah.
What are the things agents should be doing besides door knocking and that kind of stuff on their marketing game? Like, what should an agent be doing right now, 22 marketing plan?
Right now, number one on the marketing side of things is you need to decide who you're going to talk to. I think realtors want to talk to everybody. They want to talk to the big buyer, the big seller, the little seller, the little buyer, the investor, the rental property owner. Like, they want to talk to everybody. Figure out who you're talking to. Figure out your exact avatar, the exact type of person you want to work with, your ideal client, however you want to word it. Figure out who you're talking to, and then develop a video strategy about being where that person lives. Like, for example, if you're chasing after a 57-year-old investor who has multiple properties, I would be running ads and getting leads from biggerpockets.com and running specific YouTube ads to that age demographic. I would then, if I'm going after first-time home buyers, have a really strong push on the organic side of Facebook and Instagram. If I'm going more after referral business, or I'm in the lending side and I can serve a lot of different states, or I'm interested in, like myself or Glenda, growing in a place where I can have more of a national look in the real estate world, go on to the TikToks and even on the short form of YouTube and the long form of YouTube, podcasts. So it kind of depends on where you are. But if you're that run of the mill, you're the individual, you're trying to get to the point where you're leading the team, but you're at that 10 to 15 deal mark and you want to get to 25, 35, 45, start documenting your career. Get it on camera. Like, everything needs to be content. And it's the same message all the time.
So it's a Tom Ferry message. Video.
It's the same message.
We're in Vegas we're going to see Tom tomorrow or the next day, whenever we see him. So it's doing more video and just telling your story.
And quality video. And when I say quality, I'm not talking about you breaking out the Nikon camera and these fancy little mics, but you're thinking about it. There's a point behind it. You're not just...
We don't have a Nikon camera. We have a Sony here.
Sony gang.
I'm Sony gang too.
Right.
But Nikon's a typical starter camera. So
okay.
Regardless. Sony gang. The thing about it needs to be thought out. Who are you talking to? Why are you talking to them? Is this for you or is this for them? Is this vanity facing content or is this equity building content? Like, which one?
And decide how you strike me as you're taking your phone out, and when it comes to you and you're shooting content, you're probably, are you planning your content out, or are you just?
It's a mixture. It depends on if it's with our video team, it's planned out to the 9. But if it's just myself,
like Glenda, she's batching 30 videos
and that's
once
style.
a month, and so you got to know what's going to work best for you, where you can get the most out of it. So
1,000%.
Awesome, brother.
My
I really,
guy.
really enjoyed this.
Absolutely.
I actually learned a little bit more about the next world coming, even though I don't believe it's, for another 10 years.
And it could all blow up next week, and there could be some new Web 0.31. Like, it's just like.
If you were going to buy, last question, we're going
Okay.
to wrap this thing up. And we went deep into the Web 3.0. So
Okay.
if you were going to buy one real estate NFT, who would it be from?
Real estate. What does that even mean?
Like if you want to buy an NFT from one of these real estate peeps out here, whether it's TF or the Broke Agent or Dan O'Neill, they're both over there.
I wanted to buy.
Or would it be in Minu? Like who would you actually purchase an NFT from and for what use in real estate? Barbara Corcoran, Ryan Serhant. He's going to roll out an NFT any day.
So I would, in 5 years, I'm very close to Philly. So in 5
Tom
years,
Tool.
There you go. So in 5 years, I will have a 76ers NFT. And that 76ers NFT will give me access to a box in which I can have my clients there. I can send past.
Well, that's not a real estate NFT.
But it's utilizing for what's real estate. See,
There's somebody in real estate.
What could an NFT be used for in real estate?
Well, that's what I'm asking you. What would who
I don't think
would
it
you buy
can.
from and for what
I
use?
don't rock with NFTs. I don't rock with on the real estate side of things how that could be utilized because I don't know how it could be utilized right now. That's not really again what I am super excited about. It's the blockchain aspect. It's the information protection. It's the third parties now unneeded. NFTs and the way that, and this is based off of Ether, because you can basically write smart contracts into an NFT, and that's basically what it is. It's a non-fungible token, which means it's not fakeable. You have the one. We know you have the one. It's impossible to fake you not having the one. So it's also unhackable.
I heard this. Somebody said, take Michael Jordan's house, put it into an NFT.
Why?
Think of it like, say you had 52 NFT holders. They each get a week or something, right? You basically get some kind of Michael Jordan NFT. You get access to this house. Maybe you can all.
So it's a timeshare.
It's like a timeshare. Yeah. No, listen, I get it. When people say something like this, I'm just.
So NFTs. So Gary,
it sounds so stupid.
I want everyone to look up VeeFriends if you don't have any clue how an NFT can be utilized outside of art.
Well, VeeFriends would be the same thing, say, a Tom Ferry could do.
Exactly.
Meaning.
But when you ask the question, I don't know how a Tom Ferry would do it.
Well, like Gary's doing. Here's my doodle, which he says is going to be worth a lot down the road, whether it is or it isn't. It's debatable.
Worth a ton more.
No, it's worth a lot. Yeah. But he's saying the actual character is going to have its own IP, and it's going to be like on backpacks, and maybe it will, maybe it won't. But he's giving people access to him, to an event, to all these different things.
It's giving the user value. And that's what people need to understand, what the NFT world and blockchain is all going to be doing. It's going to be bringing more value. It's going to be bringing more opportunity. And how it ends up looking.
Well, like I guess this event that Tom's doing today, he could ultimately say only NFT holders could come to this event, right? It's almost the same thing. There's people spending money to come to this event.
So I'll give an example. So a version of like an NFT strategy is having different tiered products. Maybe the product's the exact same, but there's different cool value points wrapped up in the different packages. So let's take a game like Madden. Or I'm sorry, a game like NBA 2K, which is a basketball game. You basically walk throughout this little virtual world with your character. He's got his stuff on. You play basketball pickup with these other guys. It's a very big, almost cult-like following within the game. 2K could come up with their 3 different versions of the game, which they already do. They like, hey, here's normal, here's deluxe, here's master. What I would do is I would say there's another one, and it's $5,000. Now, if you buy this one, you'll never have to buy 2K again in your life. You'll get a free copy every single time. And you're going to get this crazy looking basketball that you can dribble around while you're walking throughout this court, and it's purple and it glows, and you're the only person that will have it outside of 9 other people. And you and those 9 other people get a chance to go to the All-Star game every single year.
And it's going to go up in value.
And that is how you can add value to it. And with NFTs being attached to them almost like a virus, it's them. It's non-fungible.
The little bit of level of knowledge I have on it now, if Gary V rolled out VeeFriends today, but probably the reason I have more knowledge is because, of his project. If VeeFriends came out today, of course, everybody's a buyer on day one. Did you buy, like Jason Cassidy bought? Did you
I,
buy?
I did not.
Yeah.
No, I was.
I didn't buy
actually-
either.
Yeah, I
So
didn't.
it's like
I didn't. I purposely
no-brainer.
planned not to, but just because I knew the price. I mean, 'cause
anything
most
that
of the
goes
ones
up
I wanted were
20x is a no brainer that you also get utility from.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
1000%. But
brother,
my guy,
it's gonna be a good couple days.
absolutely.
Glad we did this. Follow Zach everywhere if you're not one of the 1.6 million already following him on TikTok.
Appreciate you, my man.
Awesome,
Thank you.
brother.
See you, man.